Okay, thank you.
Ms. Davis.
Well, and I just want to make it clear for the record, I'm supporting the motion. The motion is to ask for information to come back, and asking for information, at least for me, doesn't prejudge what I will or will not do with that information. And so, in my mind, this motion isn't making a decision about what to do. It's simply asking for information about what the process might be, and also what the, to the extent there might be other options and what we would have to go through without prejudging what we would do once staff brought us back that information.
As a couple of people have observed, this is a fairly complicated matter, and I would appreciate it if staff would review for us the status of the negotiations, because one of the things that hangs in the balance here, or potentially hangs in the balance, is, as has been observed, the negotiations. If Mr. Lozado were to decide on behalf of the owners of this property to pull out of negotiations and begin the process of closing down the park, I would think that that's a suboptimal result for everyone involved. On the other hand, we have at least the framework of a negotiated settlement that is moving forward, and I'd appreciate hearing about that. I think the public should listen very, very carefully to this, too.
And I believe, Ms. Yo and Mr. Martin, that we were planning to go to the Planning Commission for a first review of the development agreement either in January or February. Is that correct?
The negotiations are ongoing with respect to several of the deal points of the DA, of course. We had anticipated bringing forward the DA to the Planning Commission probably sometime in the spring at the earliest, so not the winter. The spring would have been the earliest. As the comment period for the draft DIR has just closed, there's time obviously taken to respond to those comments.
Okay, I got to stop you because Mr. O'Day and I have 12 minutes before we leave, so I want to try and get to the heart of this as quickly as possible. And I apologize for the interruption, but I'm not so concerned about the time frame as I am what are the types of things that are being negotiated that would potentially benefit A, low-income housing in general, and B, the tenants who are currently on site.
Ms. Yo, if you'd like to add to it, but
as part of the tenant impact report, one of the requirements is, besides disclosing the impacts on tenants, is the preparation of a relocation plan. So that is one of the aspects that has been negotiated. I believe Mr. Lozado has made the statement, in public that there are units that will be set aside in the affordable housing units for at the extremely low income level. So that's certainly one option that's been explored. But others, with respect to other housing options, are still being discussed, with the developer. So that is one of the plans that are coming forward.
And Mr. Gould?
And I would just add that the staff is also looking for all other options to provide relocation choices for the existing tenants if this project goes forward, including a potential relocation to a city-owned mobile home park on Stewart Street, as well as preference for Section 8 and other housing vouchers in the city of Santa Monica.
Okay, thank you. So I realize staff is wanting to be a little bit close to the vest on this because the details aren't out in public, as it were, and this is a sensitive negotiation, but these are a very real and important considerations, I think, for everyone to be thinking about when the alternative is the potential of spending a lot of city. I assume this would come from some, if we were to do a buyout, we would try to use housing funds to do that. These are housing funds that would otherwise be used for the purchase or rehabilitation of affordable housing versus maintaining the number of units that, if we could, maintain the number of units on site, in which case we would lose that opportunity. In addition, at least I'm operating under the assumption that we will negotiate some kind of an arrangement that will preserve affordable housing for those folks who are currently at Village Trailer Park. So those are very important factors for me. And if this does pass and we were to come back and have additional discussions, I would expect these things to be part of the discussion, since they are all interrelated. Ms. O'Connor.
So the motion is about covering all possibilities. Now you're talking about negotiating with, in a development agreement, what the protections would be for tenants as well as buying the property. So what's the motion?
That was part of the mayor's comments. That was not part of the motion.
Okay.
The motion is quite simply to direct staff to explore all means of protecting Village Trailer Park and its residents, including possible acquisition. Period.
So that doesn't, what the mayor was talking about is not all means. Is that under the umbrella of all means?
I'm not sure how that's even relevant to the motion, frankly.
Okay. So if this is about acquisition again of this particular property, I think council would need information on what would be the ongoing operations and maintenance costs, and what ongoing revenue sources would that come from? Because, I mean, that seriously has to be part of it. Again, I'm still voting against it because I think, I think of every time in my period here where folks have come because their building was going to be Ellis, that they were going to be going out of the rental business, and we never stepped up to the plate and said to those people, we're going to take the step of buying your building and helping you out. So we either need to look at a policy where we're taking that action and treat people equitably and move forward to buy buildings, and not just when one that, I mean, it's worthy, do not get me wrong, but it's not necessarily more worthy than somebody else's home who we have not taken this exceptional step.
So I just want to have clarification of the motion now. The motion would only have staff and the council, therefore, looking at acquisition as an option. We would be taking other options off the table?
No. There have been a number of things talked about tonight that, frankly, are more or less red herrings. In the case of potential library, I guess it's a well-read herring. Those are not what's in the motion at all. I'm not talking about future use. I'm not talking about these other things that have been brought up to perhaps obfuscate the simple motion, which is to direct staff to explore all means of protecting Village Trailer Park and its residents, including possible acquisition. We've been told at previous meetings that acquisition might be the only option. Tonight, I think we heard pretty definitively that acquisition most likely is the only remaining option. I am asking that option be explored, period.
Well, all right. I'm just Dr. Holbrook here next in the queue, but I'll just try to add some concluding comments here. I don't see how one can consider acquisition without at the same time consider the direction that we've been going for the last 5 years. So I'm going to be voting against the motion.